Here we go. It is week 3 of Football Friday here on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. We come off a week where we are discussing and dealing with a lot of injuries in the NFL right now. We come off a week last week where we all had a decent to good week, had some unlucky moments as well. But guys, I'll tell you what, as we get ready for week 3 here in the NFL, starting with which started Thursday night with the Giants and the 49ers. It's the theme this week has been injuries. I mean, it started really on Sunday. What happened on Monday night, obviously with Nick Chubb, and then the news that happened on Thursday in practice with Diggs there with the Cowboys tearing his ACL in practice, and now it looks like he's going to be out for the season. I tell you, it just the injury bug, which is a part of the game, but it's been really taking over these first 3 weeks.
I mean, yeah, it's been one of those things with running backs, and I think the owners were eventually right. The running backs were hurt. They don't want to give contracts. They don't want to give long-term contracts. Guys like Saquon and so forth. Now they're basically justified, glorified, almost in a sense, these owners who don't want to take any more money out of their pocket.
Yeah, the running back position's been a big one, and then obviously the big news with Diggs happening there on Thursday in Cowboys practice where he goes down. We'll see how that affects the Cowboys. It may not affect them this week, but that was something that had been last year. They had injuries and didn't have a lot of depth, and so that might hamper their season. But we'll find out what happens. But guys, another interesting slate of games happening here in week number 3. We'll try and get you some winners as we get you started here for week 3. In terms of our point system, we've got Nick DiMartino in the lead with 45 points. Nick Morgasen in second with 43, but it's a close it's close throughout. So one week can change that all around. Of course, bench locks is a big thing, and for me personally, I mean, I have 38 points and I'm over 2 on bench lock this week, and that was one of the bad beats last week. Is that my bench lock was the Giants -4, and they ended up only winning by 3. But hey, a win is a win in my team. We'll take it, try and see what we can do here. But you guys ready to do this here for week number 3?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. Week 3 in the NFL. And we get it going, guys, with a Beth Mowins, James Lofton, Jay Feely, Amanda Renner special on CBS as the Indianapolis Colts, speaking of injuries, it looks like it's going to be Gardner Minshew and the Indianapolis Colts taking on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens, guys, an 8-point home favorite. I'm going to go first. And let's not waste any time in saying this. This is my lock of the week because do I see the Colts forcing Lamar Jackson into some errors? No. Do I see the Colts playing a sound enough defensive game to give themselves a chance? No. Do I see a heroic performance from backup quarterback Gardner Minshew? No. So I'm asking a lot out of Indianapolis in this one. And as fun as it is to say Minshew mania, there's going to be no Minshew mania in Baltimore. And my guy Lamar Jackson is going to continue to roll. So give me the Ravens -8 and bench lock it to start here in week number 3. Ben?
Yeah, I have the Ravens covering this one. And I just think with the Colts, specifically their injuries, obviously with Richardson, who had a really good first couple of weeks, it's really tough for them to overcome that injury. And the Ravens have been playing really good to start the year. They're one of the only 2-0 teams outside of the Dolphins right now. So they had a good start, and I expect that to keep going. Give me the points for the Ravens and the win.
I mean, battle of a current Baltimore team and the old Baltimore team. Fun fact, thought I'd give you that little historical tidbit, but this game doesn't have nearly as much juice as it did in years past, and I'm not going to give this the lock of the week. I have another one in mind for that, but Ravens. No call.
Yeah, I mean, the way this game is going, concussion protocol for Anthony Richardson, we all know how tough it is to get out of concussion protocol. Go ask Tua how that went last year. No Jonathan Taylor, obviously out 4 games. This is going to be a smash fest. Ravens outright, and it's not even going to be a contest.
Yeah, give me the Ravens as well. No Anthony Richardson is going to be a huge loss for the Colts, obviously. Gardner Minshew can step in and, he can do a few things. We've seen a few things from him, but the Ravens have been good to start the season. Lamar Jackson has looked very solid. Odell's injury doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. I'm taking the Ravens in Baltimore, especially. Yeah, they're going to cover the spread.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson's really been the Indianapolis offense so far through the first two games, and I just don't know how they're going to be able to generate points. And like I said, Lamar Jackson, the revenge tour is going to continue here. Tom Albano is taking the Ravens as well, and so is Nick DiMartino. So in game number 1 on Sunday, it is a clean sweep in Baltimore. It's a Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, Didi Kinkabella special on the NFL on CBS. Paul Lombardi, it is the Tennessee Titans with Ryan Tannehill taking on Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns, with the Browns laying 3.5 at home.
This is a tough one just because I don't love what I've seen out of either team. So I can almost see like different performances from them. But I'm going to take the Titans in this one to not only cover the spread, but also to win the game. I'm not a big Browns fan. We were talking about it before the show as well, and Ben made a very good points that Deshaun Watson's just not good. That's just the bottom line right now, and I think that the Titans. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is staying healthy right now. I'm not in love with the Titans at all. I think that they have a lot of holes that they need to fill, but the Browns are acting like the Browns once again. So give me the Titans in this one.
So these two teams are kind of similar. They both have good offensive and defensive fronts and a solid running game, although we could say the Browns had a solid running game because they just lost their best offensive player. And what that means is it's going to be more pressure on Deshaun Watson to make plays with his arm. And here's a fun fact for you and a hat tip to the guys over there at NFL Live for this one. Deshaun is off target on 26.5% of his passes this season, which is the worst in the NFL. Now, I'm not the biggest Ryan Tannehill fan because he's got a lot of efficiencies too, but Tennessee has Derrick Henry in the backfield to make up for that. Upset special, Tennessee Titans plus 3.5 to win this game outright against the Cleveland Browns, Ben.
Yeah, I'm going with the Titans upset here. I think with the Chubb injury, also that's massive. Yeah, I mean, the line early on in the week was 9.5, so that must have went down a lot. I'm not sure the specific reason why, but like Paul said, these two teams are very similar. They just have a lot of deficiencies on both sides of the ball. So with that being said, I'm going to have the Titans upset and have them going outright. I think that they win by a score.
All right, Hank.
You know what this game calls for? Coin flip.
I like it.
Actually,
we gotta get that trademarked here.
Actually, in this case, I'm gonna do a hat flip because
a hat flip. Okay,
that's a new one.
I didn't bring my baseball cards with me, or any baseball card, which is a shame because I love showing off my baseball cards, and I don't really have any spare change in my pocket. Where Squidward's pretty jealous, SpongeBob reference. And so I'm going to do this hat flip. Hat flips heads, so give me the Browns. I think the Titans are mid, so just going to go with the home team here.
Wow.
Team. Okay.
Right.
Wait a minute. I was caught off guard by that one.
I mean, somebody has to win. That's all I can say.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, no Chubb. That's like 95% of their offense through the whole year. I don't know if he's the best running back. He's one of the top 3 running backs before he got hurt.
Easily. Yeah.
I don't like Deshaun Watson. I've been on the record clearly for a long time since the whole incident came out with him. Do we really expect someone who's being overpaid and guaranteed $230 million to come out and really show what he's supposed to do? Not with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson hasn't thrown the football like that since 2019, or 2018 even, before he sat out and was hurt with the Texans. This is not a contest. If Nick Chubb was playing, this would be a different game. But Titans upset, and I don't think the Browns sniff this game whatsoever.
Wow. Okay. Let's see. Tom's also taking the Titans, upsetting, but Nick D is also joining Hank. And that he's taking the Browns minus the 3.5 in Cleveland. But yeah, Deshaun through the first 2 games, he's just looked absolutely awful. But we'll find out because Tennessee is no easy feat either. But I think I just trust if this is going to be a ground attack, I trust them. And like I said, Ryan Tannehill's not the best either, but I think he's got backup. He's got backups there to make up for his mistakes as well. It's an Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth special on the NFL on Fox. Hank, it's the 2-0 Atlanta Falcons traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions, and the Lions at Ford Field laying 3 points.
The Lions against the Falcons. This is another game that pretty much feels like a bit of a coin flip for me. But you know what? At the end of the day, boy, this is a really tough one. I am going to go with the Lions. And I know you might be shocked that I'm doing this because of my bold prediction earlier. Not saying I don't stand by that prediction, but ultimately, I think after a tough loss against Seattle, they're going to find a way to bounce back against the Falcons. I'm still not quite sold on them. I know they're 2-0, but they're winning a pretty weak division. So give me Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going to take the same as you, Hank. I'm going to go Detroit as well. Being a huge Chiefs fan stuff, I still love what I saw from the Lions in week 1 against us. I thought that even though it was a 1-point win, them coming into the game completely prepared, their grittiness on both offense and defense shows, and I'm a fan of them. I'm not too sold on the Falcons. I don't think Desmond Ridder has done a whole lot that can really get me to trust him. So I would go with the Lions as well, especially at -3. I think that's a pretty easy one.
Desmond Ridder is not him.
Not yet. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, looking at this game, I got burned by the Falcons the first couple of weeks because I said, I don't think they're going to play well. I don't know Ridder. Bijan Robinson will be a good running back. I don't think it's going to be now. I think over the next couple of years, he will be a top 3 running back once he gets built in and plays in that system. The Lions are a good team. We need to give them the benefit of the doubt finally after many years of really being down in the dumps. Everyone would laugh because they always have the Thanksgiving game every year. Like, we have to see the Lions again. Now I actually want to see the Lions play football. Jared Goff, he had that incredible stat where he hadn't thrown a pick since like the middle of last year until he threw one finally. I mean, it was incredible numbers. I'm taking the Lions. I just think they're playing much better football now.
First off, I want to say thank you to the Atlanta Falcons for giving me the worst bad beat of the season last week. But to be fair, they came back from 2 scores down and showed some resiliency there against the Packers. But, guys, I like the Falcons. I mean, check that. I like the Lions here a lot as a comeback candidate, in large part because of their ability to move the ball and score points. I mean, like I said, I just don't think the Falcons, while they pulled off a nice upset last week and comeback, I still think they're a touch unproven. And I just don't see this team outscoring Detroit. To me, Jared Goff got that interception out of his system last week against a hungry Seattle team. And it's very safe that the Lions have more experience, and they are at home, and I think Atlanta's going to have their first hiccup of the year. Despite last week, I think there's nothing to be concerned about with their offense. Their defense needs to step up a little bit more against a gritty team there in Atlanta, but I just think that Jared Goff is going to outplay Ridder in this spot. So give me the Lions at home laying the 3 against Atlanta. And Ben?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Lions here. I'm not on the Lions train last week. This week, I'm gonna go on their train this week. Really like their team. Really like kind of what they've been building over there. And I mean, the Falcons are a really young team. I think they're going to be more of a pretender kind of early on the season. They're just too young. They just don't have a lot to be able to sustain with the division. I know that's kind of up in the air this year, but I think that the Lions personally. They're back at home after last week, so I think that they're going to respond. They've been playing a lot of high-scoring games the last couple weeks here too, so I don't think that the Falcons are going to keep up. So I'm going to have the Lions to cover and take the -3.
Okay.
So everybody here took the Lions, right? So this is going to be a clean sweep because Tom and Nick D are also taking the Lions at home against the Falcons. It's a Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Shannon Spake special on Fox. Nick Morgasen, the New Orleans Saints at 2-0 head to Lambeau Field to take on Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. And there's that crazy number again. The Packers a 1.5 point favorite at Lambeau.
Dare I say this actually is not a bad game when you look at it on paper. I mean, the Saints have one of the better defenses in the NFL, and they really step up and they play on the field. Jordan Love has also surprised a bunch of people in the early going. I know it was the Bears, and the Bears are not a great team and whatever, but Jordan Love has shown that some resiliency to throw the ball down the field. But at the same time, the Saints were a tough defense to play. I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on this one. I like the way the Saints are going. I'm going to take the upset and go Saints plus 1.5.
Nice. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I agree with that, honestly. And at minus 1.5, this is basically like a money line. It's what you're going to, whether you think the Saints or the Packers are going to win this one. I think the Saints are going to pull away with this one to go 3-0. I haven't been sold on the Packers. I think that they've played not horribly for the kind of team that they have put together, but I like what I've seen from the Saints. Derek Carr has looked solid so far, and their defense too has been big. So I'm going to roll with the Saints on this one.
Can I just say one thing also, that Derek Carr's got to throw the ball better. There's quite a few bad decisions he made on primetime last week, which almost cost them the game.
That's Derek Carr football for you, though.
It is. You're right.
He's a roller coaster. Mm-hmm.
He's good for 1 or 2 picks a game usually.
Exactly. If he only throws one pick, I consider it a good game.
Yeah. Boy, this is another close one, and something we've echoed, or at least I've echoed here on Football Friday. We keep talking about it with the Packers. Injuries. Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, their names continue to be concerned for Green Bay. And the Saints have been able to keep games close. Their 2 wins this year are by combined 4 points. And I got to tell you, the unit I like in this matchup is the Saints defense, especially their secondary, which is playing as well as anybody in the league so far. You're going up against a young receiving core there in the Green Bay Packers. Upset special number 2 for me. I'm taking the Saints plus the 1.5 and win this one outright at Lambeau Field. Ben?
So this is a really tight line, but I think it's appropriate for these two teams. They're both kind of teams I feel like they're fairly similar. I know Jordan Love obviously is a lot younger than Derek Carr, but I think personally, look at the coaching staff, Dennis Allen, Matt LaFleur. Obviously, I think Aaron Jones is going to play. I think that there's kind of stuff that I've been reading about that, so I think that changes a lot. I'm not sure specifically on that. But obviously without Watson, that's massive. Romeo Dobbs looks like he's going to be really, really good again this year. But the Saints offense, I still think is very suspect so far to me. I think it's their defense that's been really being able to keep them in games and win them specifically. But I will say, I think that the Packers are going to win, but I think the Saints are going to take the points because I think that the Saints at least been able to keep it close the first couple of weeks. So that's what I have. So I think the Packers are going to take the one. I think the Packers are going to win, but the Saints are going to take the 1.5.
So you basically have like a 19-18 final then.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those, that Broncos Raider game type of feel, where it's going to be just kind of in the teens because.
Hey, Green Bay was on the other side of that last week, 25-24. So for yours truly, who took the Falcons minus 1.5, I got burned on that. But that's what I said. Last week they had so many bad beats, but that was the epic one. Like everybody. I know Nick likes to talk about a game being 2.5 or under being a pick 'em, but when you take a 1.5 favorite and they win by 1, that is a bad beat if I've ever seen it. And there'll be more where that came from. But Hank, what do you have here in this one?
Well, time for another one.
Jeez, how many coin flips are there? Jeez.
I have a few. Don't think you've seen the last of these, but you know what? You guys are thinking that this is a clean sweep. Johnny, I am going to use my Lee Corso phrase on you. Not so fast, my friend. I am going to go with the Packers. I'm not 100% sold on the Saints. And this is another one where I'm just going to barely give the edge to the home team. This is a game where I have a weird feeling Derek Carr is going to throw that key interception. It's going to be in the end zone. The Packers are going to win 20-16.
So I think we're all in agreement, though. This is going to be kind of a lower scoring game. And quite a few games this week feel like they're going to be on the lower scoring side. And this is one of them. And one other thing with the Saints, too, is their running back situation has actually been a bit of a concern in the early going, because we know Alvin Kamara is still suspended. Jamal Williams, who they brought in from the Lions, has dealing with a hamstring issue, so he's out a few weeks per Dennis Allen. So they haven't been able to really get much out of the running back position, which has actually put a little bit more pressure on Derek Carr in the early going. Hank, don't worry, you are not the lone wolf this week, because Tom is also taking the money with the Packers, but okay. Nick D is taking the Saints plus 1.5 in what it should be a pretty cool matchup up there in Lambeau. And imagine the New Orleans Saints going to 3-0 on the season, which is certainly a possibility here. Ben, it's a Chris Myers, Robert Smith, Jen Hale special on the NFL on Fox. In the AFC South, we've got CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans taking on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jaguars laying a big 9 points at home.
Yeah, I think that the Texans are they're at all sorts right now. I know CJ Stroud's obviously had I think he's going to be impressive, obviously as a quarterback, as a young kid, but the Texans have a lot of injuries. They just really, you look at these two teams, the Jaguars just have the better roster. I think that the Jags haven't really even kind of got themselves into a full swing offensively. They obviously struggled against last week against the Chiefs, and then the first week, I know that they won against the Colts, but I think this is a really get-right game for the Jags. I think it's going to be definitely the cover for this one.
Go ahead, Hank.
I mean, come on, need I say more? Trevor Lawrence is him. Actually, I think the Texans are going to come in and shock people. They're going to get their first win. No.
Yeah. I was about to say.
No way.
These things have happened, but.
No way.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go different. I'm going to go different here. Jaguars still win, but I'll say the Texans cover. Keep it like within a touchdown.
Okay.
You know, the Jaguars had a very interesting game against the Chiefs this past week, where the offense could not get going. The Chiefs defense was able to shut them out like big time. They were only able to put up 9 points. I think that this could be a very like medium level scoring game, like probably in the 20s or so. But let me give the Texans the benefit of the doubt this time. If I'm completely wrong, then I will not give them the benefit of the doubt the rest of the season. But I'm going to go with them for this week.
Well, I'll throw a quick number at you since we're using the DraftKings Sportsbook. The over/under on that game is 44 points.
Okay, so that's about like what I was thinking. So it's not,
So that's like in the middle of the pack type over/under number,
like a medium level scoring game.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not a Texans fan. CJ Stroud will be good, but it's going to take quarterbacks. It usually takes 3 years for them to really develop into a decent quarterback. What are their options? They really don't have much down in Houston. Jaguars are great. Calvin Ridley actually has looked good since he's come back from the year-long suspension. Has he? Not that he's blowing the doors off everybody, but he's gotten a few opportunities. I think he has a few touchdowns already. I like the way this is going. Oh, am I referring to the wrong? No. Okay. Don't mind me. But yeah, I'm going to take the Jaguars to cover. I have them win this.
So historically, this is a matchup in Jacksonville that the Texans would win, but I feel like it's a little bit different this year because I think the Jaguars are better, and I think the Texans and I've been high on the Texans so far. You know what? CJ Stroud actually showed improvement last week because he threw for nearly 400 yards. But guys, he needs better protection, and I could just see some of these pass rushers on Jacksonville giving him a rough time again. Also, Houston's defense is allowing 28 points per game, so it feels different this year than in years past. And I'll tell you what, though. I know that Trevor Lawrence and the offense took a step back last week, but the fact that you held the Kansas City Chiefs to 17 points last week, I think is a sign that their defense is still going to be really good. I think their offense bounces back. It's a lot of points to lay, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Jacksonville, take the money here against Texans. And let's see here. Tom has the Jaguars, and so does Nick. So both of them have the Jaguars winning and covering in this one. So I think we're all in agreement that Jacksonville is going to win, but Paul will be the only slight difference one is that he is going to take the Texans plus the points in this one. Well, normally I would lead in with the next game, but I think you know who's about to show up. Yes, Tom Albano is not here, but he is here in one way or another. And you know what that means? Roll it, Nick.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride.
You can't make these up. Tom does these great every week. I mean, you can't make this one up. Let me pull the wine up, by the way.
And how about Broncos country, let's ride? We've had the first play of the season, an onside kick that failed, although it almost worked. And we've also had a big lead get blown to the then rallying ferociously, getting a Hail Mary, and then failing on a 2-point conversion, which, by the way, the officiating was awful, but that's besides the point. So what an eventful first 2 weeks for Sean Payton's crew. Well, now they head to Miami to take on Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins are a 6.5-point favorite. I'm going to go here first, guys, and it is, in fact, the Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins special on CBS. Dolphins 6.5-point favorites. Guys, the Broncos, even when they were looking horrific last year and in years past, we could talk about, their defense would keep them in games. No, not this year. They've showed that they're susceptible to big plays on defense. That is a big problem because this Miami offense, even with Jalen Waddle and concussion protocol, is one of the toughest units in the entire league. And also, the Miami defense and their pass rush is making plays too. This is not going to be pretty for Russell Wilson and Sean Payton down there. I am taking the Dolphins minus the 6.5 to win and cover. Take the money there in Miami. Hank?
Guys, you know what? I'm going to say this. Broncos country, let's ride! Upset special! By the way, I'm kidding. This is actually my lock of the week. Give me Miami.
Nice. There it is. All right, Ben.
Yeah, I think that this is not going to be a nightmare game for the Broncos on both sides. Defensively, I thought specifically that they're going to have a better defense this year. I mean, their secondary is pretty good, but their front's been one of the worst in terms of blitz overall so far. So I think against a team like Miami, which moves the ball quick, I think that you don't want to get in a shootout with Miami, and I think that it's going to be definitely the cover there for the Dolphins at minus 6.5.
Go ahead, Nick. Oh, Nick's muted.
There we go. Sorry. I was so excited for this game.
Tony Reality makes his appearance here on Football Friday.
Yeah. So I was between two games for locks. One was this game. One was the Philadelphia game. Now, originally I was leaning towards Philadelphia, but lately Philadelphia has not covered as much as I have liked. This is going to be my lock of the week. I changed my mind at the last second. I'm taking Dolphins to cover with the hook included, so this makes it way easier at 6.5 to win by a touchdown. I have to admit it, Tua has looked good the first couple of games. Now, hopefully he doesn't get hurt, and hopefully I don't jinx it now that he's going to get hurt. Jalen Waddle is in concussion protocol. That does not help it. So I don't think he's going to play, right? I think he's out.
It's not looking good, no.
No, it's not looking good.
And I think Tyreek Hill had some injury woes, if I'm not mistaken, too, right?
I think he's going to be a
he's going to play. No. He's going to play, but he definitely has some injury woes. It doesn't matter. The Dolphins are still a much better team. Take the money. This is my lock.
First off, let me take a second to acknowledge how happy that Broncos loss made me last week. That was spectacular. See them rise up like that and then fall last minute was hilarious. But yeah, Broncos, they can't figure anything out. I'm taking the Dolphins in this one, and this is also going to be my lock of the week. They've been playing unbelievable. That offense has been explosive. I love what I see from Tua, and my boy Tyreek Hill too is balling out there. So I'm happy to see that, and I'm going with the Dolphins.
I'll tell you what, guys, this is going to be a must-watch. You know what? Now I have to pay attention to this game because Nick D is also taking the Dolphins, and Tom is taking the Dolphins, and he as well is making this his bench lock of the week. So that means we have 4. Yes, count them. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 bench locks riding on the Dolphins -6.5. And what that means is if the Dolphins win by 6, that means those 4 guys will not score in this game. So this is a huge matchup in the point standings with 4 guys locking in their bench lock this week.
All right, LeBron James, thanks for your status on the amount.
Hey.
Well, your buddy LeBron, I had to bring him up too, right?
Yeah.
So this will be one definitely to watch down there in Miami. Paul, it's a Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman special on the NFL on Fox. Let's head up to the Midwest as the Los Angeles Chargers, a battle of 0-2 teams here, as the Los Angeles Chargers take on the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings a point favorite.
Man, this is such a tough one because both of these teams are so due to put together a good performance. They've completely underperformed in their first 2 weeks. I think that both of them are better than the 0-2 record shows. But again, the Vikings, too, are on the come down right now. A lot of people think that Kirk Cousins could be on the move. I mean, he's a free agent after the season, and it's going to make things very interesting. This is a tough one. This is definitely a tough one. I'm going to go with the Vikings, though, to win this, pull out their first win of the season. It's in Minnesota. That's really, to be honest with you, that's the only reason why I'm taking them, the home team, because I think that this is like a real neck and neck type of game. I don't even know if it's going to be good football. It might be very sloppy football, but it's going to be a pretty close game. But I'm going to take the Vikings.
Yeah, Paul, I think you said it there. This is one of the, Nick, I know likes to talk about on ETB in the past about stay away games. This would be a stay away game for me because I have no confidence in either team right now. The only reason I'm going to trend towards the Vikings for a couple of reasons here. Number 1, they're home. Number 2, they've had 9 days to prepare after losing last Thursday night. But look at some of these numbers. Minnesota's lost 6 fumbles this season, which is the most by any team through 2 games in 20 years. The Chargers are the first team in league history to start 0-2 despite scoring 50-plus points and having 0 giveaways in their first 2 games. So those are some crazy stats there, some crazy stats. So there's 2 reasons there I gave you the Vikings. Let's give you 2 more. Number 3, you go with the team with the better coach. That's with the Vikings. And number 4, you go with the Kirk Cousins checklist. Is this game in prime time? It is not. Is this game a national TV game? It is not. I love Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, and Laura Oakman. They're 3 of the best, but it's not a nationally televised game. So that's not a primetime game. You go with Kirk Cousins and you take Minnesota to win this game against the Chargers. Hank?
Okay. I mean, this is probably the granddaddy of all the cap flips, but you know what?
Cap flips.
You know what, Johnny? Plot twist. I'm not going to do a cap flip because normally I would agree with you about your Kirk Cousins checklist. However, you know that I am of the belief that Kirk Cousins is not him. And on the other hand, somebody has to choke this game. And you know what? As bad as the Chargers have been, I still trust Justin Herbert more so than the White Dak Prescott.
So there you go. So then he's taking L.A. Wow, I almost said San Diego. What a Freudian slip that would have been. Ben, go ahead.
Hey, Johnny, you and I have been there many a time. It's all good, bro.
This is a hat flip here. Yeah.
I'm a trendsetter. We love it.
Yeah, I guess so. I think it's a pick 'em, but I have the Chargers upset outright in this one. I'm not a big believer specifically in this Vikings team. I mean, the Chargers team, at least specifically, just has decent talent offensively. I know that the Vikings obviously have Addison, Jefferson, and stuff, but coaching, I do agree. Obviously, O'Connell's a lot better than Staley, but I think that the Chargers are going to overcome their choking woes because there's another team on the other side that chokes also. So one of them has to choke. So I'm gonna trust the team that chokes a little less. So I'll go with the Chargers here and the upset.
See how tough this one is. Go ahead, Nick.
This is a battle of question mark teams, I like to call it. Kirk Cousins versus Justin Herbert. I think the Vikings can be a good team when they play up to their potential. Justin Jefferson is probably the number one receiver in the NFL. My problem is with Brandon Staley, who doesn't know how to coach a football game if his life depended on it at all whatsoever. There's no way I'm leaning on the Chargers. Look what happened to them last week. They lost to the Titans. Okay? Don't get me wrong. The Titans are not a slouch. Like, they're not just going to roll over and die and not play. But that was a horrible game to lose that in overtime. And that's what Brandon Staley's tenure has been with the Chargers. Just letdown after letdown after letdown. Take the Vikings.
Yeah, and a lot of questionable decisions. I'll be honest with you. If I'm watching this game, I'm watching it for the broadcast. That's it, because I love Kugler, I love Sanchez, and Laura Oakman's one of the best in the business. So that's what I would do. But as far as our other two guys here, Tom has, of course, he has the Vikings, and Nick has the Chargers winning this one. So it's going to be a split call here, pretty much, in Minnesota. Well, this is the first time we get to have a battle of two members of our Football Friday crew with a game. So let's see what happens. Let's go to the road guy first. Ben Kruse, it's a Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson special on CBS between your New England Patriots and Nick's New York Jets. And the Patriots, a 2.5-point favorite heading to MetLife Stadium.
Death, taxes, Patriots beating the Jets. Even with Brady out, we always own you guys, Nick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, it's the Jets at the end of the day. But I will say this. I'll say this about the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers was playing, I think I'm going to go with the Jets. But Zach Wilson, one of the lowest QBRs in the league. I know that their defense is very good, but the Patriots, the first two games, I mean, they lost by within a score, within under a minute left in both ones. I think that eventually the tide's going to have to change, and I'm going to go with the Patriots to cover this one. It's 2.5 around 3. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be 20-17, something like that. But I'd rather take it ugly than not because we want to get at least a win to start. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Patriots to cover the 2.5.
I don't think you're wrong, by the way. I think that the Patriots are actually going to win this game. With Zach Wilson being the starting quarterback of this team, they're not winning any games. Let's put it that way.
I don't know about that. They'll
Aaron Rodgers. No, Aaron Rodgers. They put all the eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. They said it last week. The whole playbook was for Aaron Rodgers. The offensive coordinator was for Aaron Rodgers. They basically had to rip up the whole playbook to make something for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson can't throw the football. And I'll make a Giants reference for some of the Giants fans in here. He's got Eli Manning syndrome with his feet, where he does not move out of the pocket.
Easy.
The only difference is Eli had an offensive line, though.
Well, that's the difference. But I'm saying is Eli used to take sacks early on in the beginning because he didn't move his feet. Zach Wilson does the same thing. He doesn't move his feet. He goes down rather than out, which makes no sense. So I'm with you, Ben. I think the Patriots are going to win this game. And I don't think – I think it's going to be a touchdown game possibly at least. I think that they're being a little generous on this line, to be quite honest with you. And it's Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick takes away the strength of every team. So I just think that's how it's going to go. It's too much pressure on the defense. Take the Patriots to cover.
All right, Paul.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I'm taking the Patriots to cover on this one. The Patriots almost always beat up on the Jets. Obviously, just like Ben said, if Aaron Rodgers was playing, it'd be a completely different story. But until Zach Wilson is back riding the bench, I'm not too sold on the Jets winning a matchup like this. So I'm definitely going with the Patriots.
I mean, and I just want to add one more thing because I just thought of it as well. I wouldn't trust Zach Wilson to play dead in a movie. Okay. So if that's how much I don't trust Zach Wilson in this spot. Okay, continue.
Well, Nick, let me throw something crazy at you because I was kind of thinking about this before. If Zach Wilson throws 2 interceptions in the first half, let's say, do we see Tim Boyle in this game?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. That quarterback situation is a mystery box, as Hank
the
would
thing
say.
with this, but see, why I say that is this is a huge swing game for the Jets because after this week, then they play the Chiefs at home on Sunday night in Week 4, and they have the Broncos and the Eagles coming up. I mean, right now, if you're the Jets, I think you have to sign for 3 and you would sign up for 3-3 going into the bye week. I mean, that maybe 2-4 is what it looks like, but. If Rodgers was playing this, the Jets would be the 2.5-point favorite probably, and instead the Jets are an underdog in 22 straight games against New England, and they've gone 2-20 in those games, with both coming in overtime. In fact, here's another fun fact: the last time the Jets were favored and won against New England, Tom Brady never started an NFL game. Now, against Bill Belichick, the last 4 games the Jets have played him, they've scored 16, 7, and 7 points in those last 4 games against Belichick. And if Belichick can't put together a game plan to shut down Zach Wilson, then I'm afraid it's going to get really, really ugly there in New England.
Yeah.
It's going
to be brutal.
I want to find a way to get the Jets in this one, but I got to tell you, the only reason why I think I can give the Jets a chance is the weather they're talking about up there in the New York, New Jersey area. I know that storm Ophelia, which is not a major hurricane, it's like a post-tropical system, is coming down here in South Carolina. It's going to go up that way. Maybe that slows down the Patriots. But, Ben, I agree with you. I think this looks like 20-17 written on. And the fact that this game now is below a field goal, if you were a betting person, makes me very comfortable to take New England minus the 2.5 there at MetLife Stadium. So I'm going to take the money with New England.
I am definitely. If Aaron Rodgers were starting this game, I'd probably consider taking the Jets. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. As long as Bill Belichick is coaching the Patriots, the Jets will never get a win against the fallen empire. Give me the Pats.
One other thing, also, real quick. Let's say the Jets win this game, go to 2-1. Let's say the Vikings lose, go to 0-3. There's going to be talk about Kirk Cousins. I think you might have to look and go down that road if you're the Jets and go all in because, like you said, they've got a lot of receivers on this team. They've got 2 good running backs, which may also help too for Zach Wilson. You go to 2 running backs, see what happens there. They put themselves in such an early hole last week that didn't help either. But that's what we're going to roll with. Tom's also taking the Patriots. This is also going to be a clean sweep because Tom's taking the Patriots. And the other Jet fan here, Nick DiMartino, is not only taking the Patriots, but he's also bench locking New England minus 2.5 against the Jets.
What?
It is his lock.
He was talking really down about Zach Wilson last week. So
was he ever? I mean, listen, when you're talking about Nick D, we love you, but I mean, when Paul, he was talking about.
It was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, when you're desperate enough to go call for Jameis Winston, it's like it's
Sam Darnold.
Wait a minute.
Sam Darnold, though. See, the funny thing about that is Sam Darnold would actually work with this Jets team because he's got 2 running backs and he's got weapons too. Remember Sam Darnold took arguably the worst team in football last year and got them relevant into week 17.
Okay, as the relevant Jet fan here,
yes,
I would never take Jameis Winston. I would never take. First of all, if Sam Darnold ever enters this building again, I'm walking off as a Jet fan again. Okay, so Sam Darnold better not enter those doors ever again. Same thing. Ironically, they overdrafted both quarterbacks.
I think Kirk Cousins will be really fascinating if you guys are in it. I think you guys will. I mean, for a while, because personally, your defense is still really good, and you still have Robert Saleh, a really good coach that's defensive minded. So I think specifically Zach Wilson could ride the bench. You can make a trade for Kirk Cousins, maybe at the deadline if the Vikings obviously fall out, which might happen.
That's what I said. I said that to Johnny. I said they should call the Vikings and trade for Kirk Cousins.
Here's the whammy, though, in all this, and here's where you have to try and find a balance. The Jets have to still be, in contention by the Halloween deadline, and where are the Vikings going to be by then? See, if you're the Jets, you almost have to hope that the Vikings lose Sunday and go to 0-3 and put themselves in a big hole. But the Jets also have to tread water here too. And again, after New England, that's why this game is so critical, because then you play Kansas City, you play Denver, who's, I guess, a favorable matchup now, it looks like, but then you've also got the Eagles. I mean, you got to tread water and find an equal balance here, and we'll find out. If they can win this, though, it's 2-1, and the mindset is a little bit different going up against Paul's Chiefs on Sunday Night Football in week number 4. Hank, it's Andrew Catalon, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross on the NFL on CBS. It is the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, taking on Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders, and it looks like weather might be a factor in this one too, but the Bills are a 6.5-point road favorite in this one.
Oh boy, this one's another game I was considering for the lock of the week, but nonetheless, give me the Bills to win this one. No contest. The Commanders are due to get their first loss, or I'm sorry, the Commies, aka the Foreskins.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I think this is a really good line. Actually, I really like what the Commanders have been doing early. I talked off the air about Eric Bieniemy and Sam Howell. I think low key. I mean, they have some really decent weapons if you think about it. Brian Robinson, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Logan Thomas. I mean, that's just not a fluke type of a group. That's a really good group, specifically of guys that can make plays. But I think that the Bills are going to cover the 6.5. I think that they really found some things last week, and I think that they, continue that this week. So Bills 6.5. Yeah.
The way I see this game, it's not a contest. I mean, I still think the Bills need to play better. I don't think they're playing up to their potential so far. Josh Allen looks a little confused out there first couple of weeks. The game against the Jets, I don't know what the heck happened in that game. I think he had 2 picks and a fumble. The offensive line was not great in that game. But the Commanders are not exactly a great team out there, like really putting it out there. So I'm taking the Bills to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bills as well. The Commanders have looked decent so far this season, but the Bills should be able to pull this game away. They had a huge win last week, and yeah, I'm going to roll with the Bills on this one.
Ooh, I have a weird feeling that Washington might make this game close, but see, that 6.5-point number. If we were talking north of 7, I'd go Washington, but I think Buffalo wins this game by a touchdown. See, if the Commanders, here's the thing: if Howell can stay disciplined, he can stay decisive, and the Commanders can pressure Josh Allen with their front four, they might have a chance. But I'm gonna roll with the team that I think is a little bit more experienced in this spot, and that's going to be Buffalo. So I will take the money here with Buffalo, and we will make this a clean sweep. Tom and Nick D are both taking Buffalo minus the 6.5 at FedEx Field. Nick, it's an Iron Eagle, Charles Davis, Evan Washburn special on the NFL on CBS, as it looks like it is going to be Andy Dalton and the Carolina Panthers traveling to Lumen Stadium in the 12th man to take on Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seahawks are a 6.5 home favorite.
By the way, the Seahawks-Lions game had a viral moment with referee Alex Kemp, if everyone saw that last week, and one of the greatest moments of the day, to be honest. And Geno just getting in the middle of that call being made. I'm talking to America. That'll be the line for the rest of the season. No Bryce Young, no cover. They're not going to win. this is going to be an easy Seahawks cover.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's an easy Seahawks cover. No Bryce Young. Andy Dalton's going to have to step in. I had the Panthers being one of my surprise teams of the season during the off season, and I'm afraid they're going to fall to 0-3. I don't see them really doing much in this game.
So you're taking Seattle. Last year, go ahead, Hank. You go first this time.
Sorry. Yeah, I had the Panthers as one of my surprise teams too, but actually, you know what? I'm going to be bold. I'm going to say the Panthers cover, but the Seahawks still win.
See, now last year, Carolina went up to Seattle and won outright. But the problem is, I mean, Andy Dalton might give them a little bit more of a spark, but I also think I just don't think Carolina's ready to hang with Seattle, guys. I mean, Seattle put up a lot of points. I know the defense is a little bit better for the Panthers, so it might be a little bit closer. Wow. I can't go to the well 3 times, though, with Carolina. I've tried it twice. I'm going to take the money. I've struggled with this one. I feel like this almost could be like a field goal game, but I feel like this. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take Seattle. And Ben, go ahead.
Yep. So I originally had, I had Seattle winning regardless, but I actually had the Panthers taking the points. But now with Bryce Young being out, I think that the Seattle's going to win outright. I was even considering it was going to be a lock of my week this week, but I think it's just going to be a regular cover. I think the Panthers are going to make it close by a little bit at halftime, but then they're going to pull away because I just don't trust Andy Dalton in a hostile environment. So give me Seattle.
That's well said. That could be exactly why. You know, Andy Dalton had good moments for New Orleans last year at home, but if you remember, there were moments last year on the road where he just was awful. If you remember that game against Arizona on Thursday Night Football last year, where he had back-to-back pick sixes, and in that environment, Ben, you're exactly right. You know, Lumen Stadium now, that 12th man field is a factor once again because of how good of how good Seattle is once again. So that's what we're going to roll with. Tom's taking the Seahawks. But Nick D is taking Carolina plus the points, though, as well. So we'll find out what happens here. Ben, it is a Joe Davis, Darrow Moose Johnston, Pam Oliver special on the NFL on Fox. As we head out to Arizona, Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys take on Josh Dobbs and the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cowboys are a 12.5-point road favorite.
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals, I feel like, at least the first couple of weeks, have actually been not a bad team. I mean, they've kind of kept it close the first week against the Commanders. Obviously, had a really early start last week against the Giants. They can't really find ways to finish off games, I don't think. And they're going to be a team like that, I feel like, all year. Dallas, on the other hand, I know that Trayvon Diggs is a massive loss, but their front against that offensive line for the Cardinals, I just don't see them matching up at all during the game. Dak is looking good. CeeDee Lamb's looking great. Give me that 12.5 for the Cowboys in the cover.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and usually, and I've said this about double-digit lines before, double-digit lines are tough to begin with. Double-digit lines on the road are even tougher. I understand Arizona is the worst team in the NFL. I think we all basically said they're going to be the number 1 overall pick. It's a large line. It's on the road. And I don't know, I saw some resiliency, which was kind of funny a little bit. That I thought they were going to run away with the game against the Giants, and somehow the Giants come back and win that game somehow in surprising fashion, which they shouldn't have at all. But I'm going to go with them, but I think it's going to be like they're going to win by like 2 touchdowns, 14. I think it's going to be right over the line.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the Cowboys are going to cover. Their defense is too suffocating. Their offense has been clicking so far. And even without Diggs, I think that defense is still not going to miss a beat because they do have some pretty good depth as well. So I'm a big fan of them. And the Cardinals, haven't looked as bad as we thought that they would in the first 2 weeks, but it's going to be very difficult to predict them to even be within 2 touchdowns of the Cowboys, I think, with how red hot the Cowboys have been. So I'm going to go with them.
The Trayvon Diggs injury is a huge blow in this game because it's going to allow the Cardinals to maybe score 10, maybe 17 points. But the Cowboys are going to put up at least 30. I have this game like 33-10 Dallas over Arizona. There's not much really to break down with this one. That's why I just keep it simple to the point. Listen, the Cardinals, they may not win a game this year because, yes, they got off to a fast start last week, but they faded in the second half. And some of that has to do with the Giants. You have to give them credit because they adjusted and made plays as well. And Daniel Jones made plays with his legs and with his arm. And the Cardinals showed you why they're going to be an 0-17 team this year. They might get a touchdown. They might get 2 because Trayvon Diggs is not there, but the Cowboys will put up 30+ in this one. That's really it. That's all it needs to be said. All right, Hank.
Oh, boy. This is a very tough one for me to decide. Yeah, who am I kidding? The Cardinals are going to destroy. I mean, the Diggs injury will hurt them, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to feel the effects of the Diggs injury until probably later on when the schedule gets tougher and the Cowboys have their inevitable choke job that we celebrate on a yearly basis. Give me the boys for this one, but yeah.
So here's an interesting one. Tom also has the Cowboys, and Nick D has taken the Cardinals plus the points in here.
Well, wait, he's just taking the points, right?
He's just taking the points. Yes, there's no upset special. He's
okay,
just taking the points. And this
I
could be
see that.
One of those backdoor covers. You know, if the Cowboys are up 2 scores and Arizona decides actually to play fourth quarter football when they're this time well behind and maybe get that late score and give us all a bad beat.
By the way, is that funny to say that 12.5 would be a backdoor cover?
Well, that's usually, though, what these large lines are, is they do open up that possibility of the backdoor cover. That's what leaves it out there. So, speaking of which, though, let's try this one because, as the late, great Billy Mays would say, but wait, there's more. Paul, it's a Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi special on the NFL on Fox as Justin Fields and the Bears take on Patrick Mahomes and your Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs a 12.5-point home favorite.
Yeah, so, taking from the first 2 games, the offense hasn't really been able to get going. So this I can definitely see how a lot of people would take the Bears plus 12.5. I think everybody would agree that the Chiefs are going to win this game, but I'm taking the Chiefs to cover. I think that this is going to be the get-right game for them, especially on their offense, because their offense, their wide receivers haven't clicked, but their offense still is not that bad, as a lot of people are praying that it's going to be. Travis Kelce's back. He's finally fully healthy. The offensive line is clicking. The wide receiver core, I don't think, is as bad as they performed in the first 2 weeks. Rashee Rice has looked very, very solid through the first couple of games. Kadarius Toney has been up and down, as he always is, but Valdez-Scantling has looked pretty good. We've been able to get some of the backup tight ends to get into the mix. So I think, and also Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire as well have been a great running back duo for them. So I'm going with the Chiefs to cover this one. I think that it's going to be a pretty big blowout, and it's in Kansas City too. So you can always expect a big game. And Mahomes has the beef with the Bears too, after they passed on him in 2017 after saying they were going to draft him. Remember a few years ago when he was counting on his fingers after scoring the touchdown. This is a meaningful game for him, and I think the Chiefs are going to answer big time.
Gee, big surprise on that pick right there.
Still got to go for it. All right, Hank, go ahead.
Bears.
Not really.
What's the point?
No, hell no. Give me the No, the Chiefs are going to win 30-3.
Oh,
wow. Ouch.
Go ahead, Ben.
No, Chiefs win 33.
So, I mean, the Bears are in absolute disarray. I mean, you got Justin Fields and questioned already first couple weeks. You got DJ Moore apparently in a clip with I think it was Devin White saying that he's not getting enough already in terms of targets. There's already stuff going on with the Bears, typical Bears already. They're taking on Kansas City Chiefs, and like Paul said, this is the get right game for the Chiefs. I think specifically it's at home for them. Chris Jones obviously back is massive. You have Kelsey, Sky Moore. You got some other guys that are starting to really click as well too. This is my lock of the week. KC at 12.5.
Nice.
Wow.
Big lock. All right,
That's a big lock right there. Yeah, this is going to be a blowout. I mean, we already saw some turmoil between Justin Fields and the coaching staff during the week, where he basically blamed the coaching staff for his issues, and then he tried to walk it back and say, "I didn't say it. I don't know who said that." I mean, there's a lot of issues going on down in Chi-Town, in the NFL world. They really have nothing. Patrick Mahomes just got a restructured contract for $210 million over the next 4 seasons. Richest amount of money in the history of the NFL over the next 4 seasons. Yeah, this is not even going to be close. It's definitely going to be an obvious cover because the Bears are the worst.
So it's funny because, if everybody actually listens to that whole thing that Fields said, he was going after the coaching staff, but then he also did put the blame on himself too. I mean, you have to go back and watch that whole entire thing what he said.
He still said it though.
I understand that, but watch the whole clip though. I mean, it's more than just blaming the coaching staff, but in some ways though, he's right though, because the coaching staff has held his potential back, though I think he's not the answer. But I'll tell you what, guys, I got the Bears plus 12.5. I think the Chiefs win this game. Let's just remember the couple things here. The Chiefs don't cover at home. The last 2 years, they have very rarely covered at home. So there have been games they haven't won at home outright, and there are games they haven't covered at home outright. And I kind of think that this could be a sneaky opponent. And what I mean by that, I think they might be the perfect opponent for the Chiefs to face, for the Bears to face in the Chiefs. I know the odds are stacked against him, but I don't think this game is as lopsided as you think. And let's remember the Chiefs only scored 17 points last week against Jacksonville. So yeah, they might get right at home, but the Chiefs don't win and cover at home. They win at home, but they don't cover. This has I feel like it has 28-17 written on it. I'm going to take Kansas City to win, but I'm going to take the Bears plus the points. And let's see here. Tom has the Chiefs, and Nick also has the Chiefs. So we're all in agreement that Kansas City's going to win, but I'm going to go a little bit different here, and I'm going to grab the 12.5 with the Bears in Kansas City. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark special on Sunday Night Football on NBC. Hank, it is Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on Jimmy Garoppolo and the Las Vegas Raiders. And the Raiders are laying 2.5 points at Allegiant Stadium.
I am going to say this. I don't care that the Raiders are favored. They are not the safest bet in Vegas. The Steelers, fun fact, have not won a road game against the Raiders since 1995. But I think that is going to change. Give me Pittsburgh.
All right, Ben.
This is another pick 'em for me. I think both teams, like I said off the air before the game, they're very evenly matched teams. I really wasn't a fan of that offense for the Raiders or the Steelers last week. But in a primetime game, give me Pittsburgh. I think at least their defense is going to be a little bit better than Vegas has the last couple of weeks here. And I think that they're going to get some turnovers on the offense from the Raiders, just like the Bills did on them last week. So give me Pittsburgh to win this game and outright at the plus 2.5.
Nice. It's 2 upsets there, Nick.
Yeah, I'm on that gravy train. This makes no sense. The Raiders are mid, or as the guys were saying before, in poverty. Basically, who is Jimmy Garoppolo again? Because we haven't seen him in quite a long time. With all his injuries, Josh Jacobs hasn't looked great. We were expecting a lot more out of him with his holdout in the offseason. I think for some reason people are crapping on the Steelers when they're actually a much better team than people give them credit for. I like Kenny Pickett. I know he had a tough couple weeks. I'm taking the Steelers plus the points to win outright.
Yeah, I'm going Steelers plus the points as well. I think their defense is too good. Raiders are, as we would say, Hank,
Poverty.
poverty franchise. So I can't go with the Raiders. I'm going with the Steelers.
You're goddamn right. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, so the answer here is the Steelers defense, and the correct response would be, why are the Steelers going to win this game? There you go. That's a reference. So the Steelers defense, you're welcome, Hank. The Steelers defense has scored as many touchdowns as their offense has this season, and Garoppolo's thrown 3 interceptions in 2 games, and TJ Watt is going to be his next sack victim is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. So give me the Steelers there in Vegas plus the 2.5 and an upset special. Tom's also jumping aboard the upset special train. He is taking the Steelers plus 2.5, but unfortunately, Nick DiMartino is not. He will be the lone wolf. He will take the Raiders minus the 2.5 out there at Allegiant Stadium. So somebody has to be different, and that's what we roll with there on Sunday Night Football. Nick Morgasen, it's a Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salter special on ABC featuring the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a battle of 2-0 teams on ABC. And the Eagles are a 5-point road favorite at going to Raymond James.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I was looking at as a lock. Now, the Eagles have kind of scared me the past couple of weeks because they have not covered. They've won, but they have not covered. Again, Jalen Hurts and a bunch of their offense is just good. We're talking about Baker Mayfield. Now, I know people are going to say, oh, but Baker Mayfield has won some games. And I can see it now by the trade deadline. He's going to have somewhat of a 500 record. So they're going to try and trade him for like a first round pick. They're going to try. But yeah, this is that. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to go to the well again. And I'm going to say the Eagles are going to cover.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles as well in this one. I said that they're going to cover. Buccaneers have looked good the first couple of weeks, but I don't think that they have a deep enough team. And Baker, I really just do not trust coming down the stretch. They do have some good targets, though, that he's been working with, so I'll give them that. But primetime game, I'm going to go with the Eagles.
This has the makings of another low-scoring, close game, guys, because both teams' defenses are pretty good. And, yeah, at the end of the day, all that matters is getting the win. And I think Jalen Hurts is going to be able to find some holes in a Buccaneers defense, and he'll do that while Baker Mayfield comes back down to earth thanks to the relentless defense of the Eagles. Philadelphia wins by 6 on Monday night.
I'm going to go bold here. Oh, go ahead, Hank.
Yeah, let Hank go. Go ahead, Hank.
Yeah, go ahead.
Taking the Buccaneers, I like to live dangerously. Well, I would if I were Austin Powers, but unfortunately, that's just not the reality of the situation. And the fact that the Yucks are 2-0, that's surprising. That's not going to last. Give me Philly.
Sorry to cut you off, Hank.
You're good.
I got the Eagles to win, but I actually got the Bucks to cover the points. I really like with the way that the Bucks defense has played the last couple of weeks. That's the only reason why I have them to take the points here. Philly has been a team so far, at least early on, that's been kind of – I don't feel like their offense has clicked yet. So until they prove me at least otherwise, I think that they're going to have kind of another week where they can kind of grind this out. And a game specifically they probably could win in that specific style. So I got the Eagles to win, but I'm going to have the Bucks to cover +5 here.
Ben, I almost thought about doing the same thing. It kind of has that feel with both teams playing well defensively. The Eagles, even though they're 2-0, not looking that great offensively so far, it does have the makings of like a 24-20 sort of game. I think it's going to be really, really close. But at the end of the day, the reason why I think the Eagles win by 6 is because I think Baker Mayfield's going to come back to earth here against that ferocious Philadelphia defense. So that's what I'm going to go with. It could even be like 24-18, it feels like, possibly. That's what we'll roll with. But we're all going to be in agreement here in that we're going to take the Eagles to win. Just Ben's going to differ a little bit in taking the Bucks plus the points. But let's see. Tom and Nick D both taking the Eagles, taking the money against Tampa at Raymond James. Well, if you like one Monday Night Football game, there's more. There's another one and this is one of my favorite crews already. It's Chris Fowler, Dan Orlasky, Lewis Riddick, and Laura Rutledge on ESPN. A rematch of Super Bowl 56, guys, as the Los Angeles Rams take on the Cincinnati Bengals. And we still don't know the situation for one Joe Burrow. But right now, the Bengals are a 3-point home favorite in this one. And I'm going to go here first. And you look at the Rams, their offense has been firing on all cylinders. Their 5th-round rookie receiver, and I'm going to need some help saying his name, Puka Nakua?
I can't even say his name.
Puka Nakua.
Yeah,
Whoever-
Nakua.
I mean, he's setting records left and right.
However you
and-
can pronounce it.
Yeah.
Puka
Well, let's just
Nakua.
go with Nakua. How's that? I mean, he's setting records left and right here, guys. I mean, he's the best receiver of anybody that's in this matchup right now, if you just look at the numbers. But there's too many questions marks with the Cincinnati Bengals here, guys. In fact, like if Joe Burrow doesn't even play this game, their backup is a guy who's never taken a snap in the league before. I know there was reports about them possibly going to trade for a quarterback to bring him in case Burrow can't play. But even if Burrow does play, I envision that offensive line going up against Aaron Donald and the nightmare that's going to cause. It's just going to be ugly. And you know how unfortunate the last couple of Monday Night Football games have been with injuries. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it's just, you got to be scared for that. Upset special, LA Rams +3 against the Bengals. Hank?
You know what? It's funny. Normally, I'm one of those guys that will take the Bengals in this situation, but why did I think it was my lock of the week? That was such a dumb move, but we all make mistakes in our lives, so I'm willing to own up. It happens. I'm not gonna nail all my locks. It is what it is, but it was a combination of me either being too confident in the Bengals or stirring the Lamar haterade, which is often. However, having said that, I actually will disrespect the Bengals. I'm taking the Rams.
Nice. Ben?
So I'm going to be bold here, and I think that Joe's going to play. I think that it's tough to see the Bengals go 0-3 to start the year. I know obviously it's tough, obviously, with this calf, and I know a lot of people want him to rest. But I will say that -3 for this one, the Rams are definitely going to cover. I think that if the Bengals win this game, in which I have them winning, they're not going to win outright. I just don't trust specifically that injury right now with Joe. But I think that they're going to win. I think the Rams are going to come back down to earth a little bit offensively in this one. So I'm going to go with the Bengals to win this game, but I have the Rams at +3.
Yeah. Where's the banner? I made it. Disrespect the Bengals because it's definitely not. They're not winning this game. People have been giving me crap on social media saying that I'm wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about. So far, I've been right that they started 0-2. They are going to go 0-3. They are going to lose this game. If Joe Burrow starts anyway, he's hurt. We know he's hurt. So are they going to force him out there in injury because they have to win? Because, as Johnny, you said, they lost 2 divisional games to start. Are they going to force out there? Because if they start 0-3, their season is over if they start 0-3. So regardless, if you put them out there, I'm taking the upset, winning outright with the Rams.
Yeah, I'm taking Rams as well within this one. I think the Bengals are destined to go 0-3. Burrow is just not the same player right now. He's definitely dealing through injury. I think that he probably shouldn't be playing, but he's forcing himself to play to put together some wins. And the alternative is not good, as you were saying too, like a guy who's never taken a snap in the NFL being his backup. So I'm going to go with the Rams on this one. They've looked good to start the season, and I like their offense.
Yeah, and we both. And let's see here. Tom has the Rams. Yes. And hold on a second. Let me just take this back. He has the Rams, and let me just explain what he's saying.
I saw that.
Number one, yes, I'm finally disrespecting the Bengals. Although I think he went against them last week too. But anyways, he's saying that. And number two, betting-wise, and I quote, this is from Tom, I wouldn't touch this game with a 39.5-foot pole. Tom's words, not mine. So he's taking the Rams. And Nick D is also taking the Rams over the Bengals. in this one, and that will put a bow on week number 3 in the NFL for Football Friday. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we're going to have a lot of interesting things to talk about here as the season goes on. As you know, next week we start incorporating a London game, and then before you know it, we'll have another London game, and then we'll have a Frankfurt game. So the international series starts up next week, and next week also October football. It is that time again. So it's crazy how fast it goes. Next week when we're here, we'll be about a quarter of the season already. It goes by quicker and quicker every year. So we'll find out what happens. Of course, injuries are a big thing here with the league this week, and we'll see how that factors in with all these teams. But guys, you all have a great weekend. Enjoy the football, both college and pro.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It'll be a good time, guys.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, folks, you can, if you like you check us out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB network, or if you like our Football Fridays and all of our content, leave us a like. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, and of course, have your notifications set so you know when all of our content is going to be coming out, which includes my Monty Moments, and of course, Nick and Tom on Empty the Bench, Paul on the 3-and-D, Hank on Hidden for the Cycle. Of course, check us out on our website, etbpodcast.com, for great blog posts from all of our contributors as well, including Hank. Hank's got a lot of good ones, of course, in the works. And also, check out the one from Brody Sorbera, who was on with me earlier this week on the Monty Moment, which you can also check out on YouTube. Or if you can't check us out on YouTube and you have to go on the go, you can check us out on wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Download, subscribe, all that good stuff. So, for Nick Morgasen, for Paul Lombardi, Ben Kruse, Hank Indictor, Tom Albano, and Nick DiMartino, I'm Johnny Montalbano. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. I'll see you back for the Monty Moments next week, and then for week 4 of Football Friday next week.